Hi everyone, it's Chloe from Papercraft Menagerie, and I am hoping to film all the daily Dephemerember prompts. So this is the first one, but this is the journal. I didn't film making it because I wasn't sure I was going to film a whole series, but I've decided to commit to it. So I pretty much followed Louise's tutorial. Just a couple of differences. I don't quite have as many pages, but I'm going to do a double spread for each of the prompts. So let's get started. The special pieces for this first prompt I've chosen are some antique key book pages, some vintage playing cards, a vintage key, and a couple of magnets that I have a specific idea for. And some little tiny playing cards. They're not antique or vintage or anything, but they're tiny and adorable. The first thing I did was prepare the antique key book pages as background pages. I didn't want to cover up the entirety of the original page, but I did want the key book pages to be the main focus. So I tore along one edge and then used the ruler to tear along the other three, and just kept sizing them up to get the best fit. Once the pages were the correct sizes, I decided to ink the edges. Just as I was about to glue them in, I realised that my inking wasn't quite finished. I had to do the back of the hand-torn section. Now I was finally able to glue them in, so I went around with the glue and was not that careful with the hand-torn side, just so that I could go ahead and peel it up a little to give the page a bit of texture. I did need the help from a bit of tweezers because I did cut it a bit close on some of the edges, but I managed to get it peeled up and ink it where it was just still a little bit too white. And I then did the same on the other side, but because I liked the look of the edge of the page, I pulled it away from the page edge a little, and also tore the other side a little bit as well and inked that. And the tough part was choosing which vintage cards to use as the focal point on one of the pages. So I eventually made my decision, and then using a pair of scissors created a little hole that I could then tear out a larger piece to make kind of a vintage card frame. And then I inked the inside torn section just to give it a little bit more of a distressed look and take away the stark whiteness. They still weren't distressed enough, so I pulled out my sprays and my ink box. I gave them some time to dry, and then I went about tearing out the leftover antique key page to fit a picture of an antique key within the frames, and glued them to the back. After finding there wasn't quite enough room for all four, I decided to amend my plan and stick down 3, one of which would become a pocket, and the 4th card would become a journaling card. Before doing the pocket, I put the journaling card down on some lined paper. For the card pocket, I took another playing card and tore it in half, and then scored it at 1 centimetre and 2 centimetres to create a zigzag. I then glued it onto the back of the pocket card and left it to dry. I then cut out the journal card and finally glued in the pocket. On to the next project, which is a pull-away magnetic box with a key in it, made out of playing cards. So the first thing I did was choose the cards I wanted. I am using the little cards to cover the magnets. It won't obviously be glued down all the way flat, but it just covers the front so it's not an ugly magnet really. So I kind of grungied them up a little with a bit of ink and just made them a little darker and less stark. And then I got one of the magnets and one of the little playing cards and glued them together, and then glued that magnet to the page. I made sure to kind of line it up where I wanted the box, and I left that to dry and went ahead to make the box. The first thing I did was do another frame like we did for the other side, and made sure it was big enough for the key to be seen. And then I used more playing cards to create little spines. So I again made 3 scores. These ones I believe were 1/4 of an inch, and I made 4 of them, one for each side. And then I glued the little spines down. I then glued the magnet to the card and then the box, making sure that everything was in the right place and the magnets were the right way up. Once the glue had dried, I put the key in, which was held there by the magnet, and then I inked the frame and glued it on. And here are the finished pages. Thanks everyone, bye!